You know what's great? When you record the entire episode and your recorder just goes, yeah, we didn't record any of that for some reason, despite showing that you were recording. Anyway, welcome back to the Beauty of Beastars, a series where we overanalyze the anime of Beastars on this Overthinking Media, where we overthink all things anime, gaming, cinematic, and entertaining with the intent to start discussion on subjects that may not change the world, but are fun to think about. In the previous episode, we looked at the first 5 seconds of the series, and how the first 5 seconds symbolised everything the series wanted to tell us. In this video, we're going to skip ahead about 20 seconds and analyse the blood moon. And I know it's technically called a lunar eclipse, but I want to call it a blood moon because it sounds cooler and it more thematically fits. However, before we go any further, this episode will not contain spoilers. But in doing so, I do need to talk about the big mystery of this series, which please do not spoil it in the comment section below. I have read the manga, I have watched the anime, I know the story, that is why I'm analysing it. However, there may be people that come to this series not yet have watched the series. For that reason, please do not reveal who the Beast is. I am calling them the Beast in this episode so as not to give away their identity, but please, don't spoil it for others. This is a massive build-up, this is the main plot of one of the series. Do not ruin it for other people. If you do, I'll just delete your comment and ban you from commenting. That's all there is. That being said, if you do want to discuss the Beast in the comment section below, please put a spoiler warning at the top of your comment. Please write spoiler comment ... So in order for them to read the spoiler comment, they have to click read more. They are acknowledging that they're going to read spoilers. With that said, let's just jump right in, shall we? Let's begin with the actual description of the scene. Tem, the alpaca, is frantically running away from something. An entity that we can't yet see, constantly checking behind him to see if it's still there. Whilst running down the stairs, we see a giant looming shadow of the Beast as Tem continues to run away. He manages to run into a lecture hall, trying to block the door with his body, but it is clear that he is no match for the Beast. Tem tries to talk to the Beast, to try and get them to stop, to try and reason with them. However, the Beast isn't interested and breaks down the door, sending Tem flying down the stairs and into the lecture hall podium. The Beast approaches Tem, and with his final breath, curses carnivores before being eaten alive. What is this scene about? It's about Tem, a herbivore, being hunted by the Beast, a carnivore. And I'm going to take a quick moment to talk about something I found funny in a sad way. Firstly, if you have not yet watched Beastars, I seriously recommend you do. I'm going to do my best to avoid spoilers whenever possible. However, this is a series overanalyzing the series, and there will be moments where I will need to mention mild to mid spoilers. Obviously, as I said, I'm not going to reveal who the Beast is until it is revealed in the series. But if you haven't seen the series yet, do not Google it. And do not Google Tem. Because if you do Google Beastars Tem, the first result is obviously Tem, Beastars Wiki. But the very next result is The Beast, Beastars Wiki, where the description on the page, on the actual Google search page, is the Beast is the main antagonist of the murder of Tem. And I mean, seriously, Google? This is a 2-season, 72-chapter, 9-volume build-up, and you're just gonna go, yeah, that's the one that the killer. I mean, I get it's not on Google, it's more on the wiki page, but maybe it's the algorithm of Google, but even so, just, I mean, seriously, dude? Seriously, Google? I found that funny in a sad way. This is why you never Google a series you're currently watching, because if you're late to the party, you might see stuff you don't wanna. Anyway, moving on. Part 3, what does this scene symbolise? And as with most cases in this series, a lot. Let's start with the first shot we're actually shown, the blood moon, which in media symbolises many things from the end of days to a tragedy to a bad omen, often referring to death. Which, check, and check. The blood moon also being 1, the moon, and 2, red, connects us with the knowledge we already have about the series. From once again, just the first 5 seconds of the series, being the moon is often affiliated with wolves, and the red is often affiliated with blood and aggression, subconsciously implanting and reinforcing the idea that the wolf is the big bad, as they're so often portrayed as. Which, once again, is done with 0 dialogue. It's almost as if there is actually something to this show don't tell mentality. I also want to point out that in the original manga, the Beast is portrayed in the form of a wolf shrouded in darkness. And later on in the volume, it is shown that Legoshi does have the shadow of a carnivore inside him, which is a massive entity to him portrayed by a wolf made out of darkness, and ends up enveloping Legoshi after he smells Haru, a herbivore, which is also something we see within the anime. So throughout the manga series, you have this tiny idea in the back of your head of, what if it was Legoshi? But of course, you keep saying to yourself, nah, it couldn't have been Legoshi. That's ridiculous. Nah, it wasn't Legoshi. Totally wasn't Legoshi. No, it wasn't Legoshi, of course not. But what if it was? What if the entire series is about the fact that Legoshi has already given into his carnivore self, but is in such denial he tries to suppress the memory? Or maybe he does remember it, but is so guilt-ridden by what he did, he tries to pretend it didn't happen, that he didn't give into his primal instinct. Or maybe it's a split personality, where he doesn't even know he did it. Or maybe he knows he did it, but he didn't want the world to know he did it, so he puts on this meekish personality that once he awakens the beast within him, he becomes a monster. He's no longer this timid wolf, but he wants to pretend he is for the world to see him like that. That would give a whole nother perspective to the story, and would give the entire series a whole different story if you were to reread or rewatch it for a second time. What an interesting concept that would be. Anyway, back to the anime. From this still shot of the blood moon, running out of the darkness of the sky, we see the shadow of Tem, running across the red of the moon, only to run back into the darkness. But it's not a powerful scene where Tem is a large figure running across the moon powerfully. Instead, it's shot as Tem as this small, tiny creature running across just the lower half of the moon. It's a simple but effective trick that's used in media to make the point of focus seem smaller than they are, weaker or less threatening. It can also be used in reverse to show something as bigger or more menacing, depending on how you shot the angle. It shows us that Tem, in this scene, is not a threat. It tells us that he is the good guy in this scene without having to exposition it to the audience. It also works in reverse, as with the moon, showing the blood moon as this massive, powerful thing. The symbolism of a small creature being within the eye of the beast, which connects back to the earlier scenes, having already been shown the eyes of Legoshi glow red as he lunged at his prey, showing us how Tem is seen as prey to be eaten in the eyes of the beast. And, once again, reinforcing the idea that all carnivores are a threat in this world. And, once again, just want to say this is done with zero dialogue. It is also done in the span of about 5 seconds. God, this series is so good! The following shot gives us the first actual look at Tem, an alpaca, with pure white fur. Once again, relating back to what we already know about Haru the rabbit, another white fluffy creature, who is a creature often connected with the idea of purity in media, which by extension means Tem is being connected with the idea of purity. Unfortunately, his pure white fur is bloodied on one side with the dark red of blood corrupting the purity of his whiteness. Another commonly used trick in many other mediums. I'm going to take a moment to briefly talk about Tokyo Ghoul and Daredevil to help punctuate my point. However, in order to do so, I need to talk about some spoilers. So if you haven't watched all of Netflix Daredevil or Season 1 of Tokyo Ghoul, I suggest you skip to the time code on screen now. As in order to talk my point, I need to talk about last episode, final chapter, Daredevil spoilers, and Tokyo Ghoul end of Season 1 spoilers. In the case of Tokyo Ghoul, Kaneki's internal space is filled with white flowers, as a memory of his mother, as he tries to cling onto the innocence of his human side, of his childlike self, and of the life he once had. However, once he accepts the ghoul part of himself, he devours Risei. The entire endless field of white flowers becomes tainted by a single drop of blood, and quickly becomes enveloped in red, symbolising the change in Kaneki. Kaneki has accepted what he is and what he has to do, which is a road paved in blood. Daredevil, on the other hand, has Wilson's painting, the white canvas. Throughout the entire series, it remains white, matching Wilson's signature suit in the series, showing us that he has the power throughout the entire series. It isn't until Daredevil defeats Wilson that the painting becomes tainted with Wilson's blood, showing us that Wilson's piece has been destroyed and is now tainted by the red of the devil. It's such a good shot! Anyway, back to Beastars. As Tem runs away, the red of the moon bathes the scene, giving even his white fur a shield of red. And when he's not covered in the light of the moon, he's running through darkness. His choices in this moment being, be within the light of the beast's eye, or live in the darkness. And as we see Tem running through the scene, it fades between red and darkness, similar to alarm bells going off, flashing red and then dark. we can see the fear on Tem's face, but even if we couldn't see, the scene tells us how the character's feeling with the warning light. As for his actual face though, one half is illuminated with the red of the moon, while the other side is shrouded in darkness. One side of his jacket is still blue, but the other side is now bloodied with red, once again using the dichotomy of the colour of red and the colour of blue to tell a story. The pureness of Tem is now corrupted by blood. The choice of the individual in the universe of Beastars is live in blissful darkness, safe from the dangers, or turn towards the light and see the bloody truth of the world, an idea later explored in the Beastars series. The camera also helps to create the idea of an imposing doom, as every time Tem runs past a pillar, the camera moves even closer to him, giving us the perspective of some entity approaching him with every step, quickly closing in on him. The camera also isn't stationary, it's shaky, frantic and unsteady, as if we were running along with him, or maybe we're seeing it from the perspective of the beast chasing down its prey. The scene changes to show Tem running down the stairs as the scene continues to be bathed in the red, showing his silhouette on the wall as he runs past in fear. Despite the fact the scene is being bathed in red, Tem himself is still shrouded in darkness, the shadow of the window panels appearing more cage-like, showing him trapped within the bars of the cage, unable to escape, telling us his fate before it even happens. Suddenly, the massive shadow of the beast is shown on the walls of the school within the cage, showing us that the beast also feels trapped. However, it's not the actual beast that is shown against the bars, it is just their shadow, showing us that even though they feel like they're in a cage, right now they're free, and it's just the shadow of them, the mask, that is trapped. They feel like they're trapped inside a cage, but they themselves right now are free. And even though this is the first time we actually see what is chasing Tem, we have no idea how big the beast physically is, as we never actually get to see them outside their beast form until much later when it's revealed who it is. For all we know, the beast could be bigger, smaller, or the same size as Tem, but because of how the light is shown, it presents them as massive, showing them as a threat. A massive looming monster compared to Tem. The camera cuts to black, until it shows Tem bursting through the doors, lighting up the scene before slamming the doors behind him, the room becoming re-enveloped in darkness. And I love this scene. The door only illuminates what it actually hits, while the rest of the room is shown to be in this blue outline style that I can only really describe as starry skyish. And I love it! It's such a cool animation style. It's like a bunch of stars in the sky being connected to create a constellation that dances. It's so beautiful. Which once Tem slams the door behind him, everything becomes starry. The blue is a vast contrast to the red of the scenes prior, showing us that this is Tem's scene. This is Tem's attempt at being the herbivore, at being the human, at being a friend. He's scared, but he's still holding out hope. He is trying to convince the beast not to do this. But as the beast slams on the doors, trying to open them, the light shines in, returning the parts of Tem it hit back to their natural colour, back to the real world version. Before the doors close again, returning to the starry art style, the world where Tem is still hopeful. However, as Tem turns, it reveals the bloodied side of his face. The bright red, a stark contrast to the blacks and blues of the scene. Tem is trying to return to the darkness, the safe side. However, with every slam on the door exposing Tem to the light of reality, even though he's still clinging to hope he can change his friend's mind, as he turns to face his attacker, he has to acknowledge the bloodied side of the world, the reality. And this is masterfully shown here by Tem literally turning and showing the bloodied side of his face. He literally has to turn to face the light, the reality. To his classmate, he is nothing but meat. A constant reminder every time the beast slams on the doors, exposing Tem back to the light of reality. It also once again shows a recurring image we see throughout the series of the two sides of a face, or rather the two sides of a person. The side people see and the side they don't. And even in the concept of the Beastars society, there are two sides that are explored later on in the series by our characters, and I am looking forward to talking about them. However, when the beast bursts into the room, the light from the hallway shines past them while the beast remains illuminated in darkness, connecting with the idea of light and dark, yin and yang, good and evil. It also shows us the sheer power of the beast as they battered in the door, which, on a side note, can we just acknowledge how strong Tem must have been to not only be able to hold back multiple hits on the door that could do that much damage, but also do it while bleeding out. Tem does not skip leg day, that's all I'm saying. As the doors are forced open, Tem is sent flying down the stairs. We see him tumble for a few seconds, but as the camera moves in, it shows despite the fact that the beast is standing at the top of the stairs, their shadow reaches all the way down, enveloping Tem. Tem is literally within the shadow of the beast, trapped inside their body, a prelude to Tem's fate, literally being within the beast's body. And from this point, the camera almost entirely shows the bloody side of Tem's face now that he has acknowledged the truth of the situation. He is no longer living in the safe, unstained world. He has acknowledged the truth. And as Tem is flung down the stairs, he is literally shot, boxed in, trapped in one place. As Tem backs up, he hits the podium, showing us that he is literally up against a wall, symbolising there is nowhere to go, as the shadow of the beast moves in closer and closer, enveloping Tem more and more in their shadow. The camera zooms into Tem's eye as it transitions and shows us what he's seeing. And this trick is just so damn beautiful. The way the camera completely changes direction whilst going in a straight line. I understand why it's so rarely used in live action due to having to digitally edit the reflection of the camera out of the actor's eye, but in the case of animation, this is such an amazing camera trick that more animated mediums should use, because it's so simple and so beautiful. As the camera zooms in through Tem's eye, it's revealed that the beast has barely moved, that they're able to cast their shadow from the door across the entire classroom, the looming shadow growing on Tem, now revealed as just symbolism, as once again reinforcing the idea of how massive Tem sees the beast as an overwhelming presence, whether or not they are. The camera zooms in on the beast, still only a shadow as the light shines behind them, until the scene is engulfed in darkness as the beast closes the door behind them, capturing a character in a panel, which, once again, is something I want to talk a lot more about, but I'll dedicate an entire episode to that. But for now, just take note. Take note of how many times characters are literally captured in a box, or in a panel, or in one space. You can actually see the arms of the beast come up as they close the door. This was an unnecessary feature, but it adds so much to the scene. As the doors shut, it snuffs out the light and envelops the world in darkness, symbolising Tem's chance to escape, now completely gone. Which is interesting as it's a complete contrast to the previous idea of living in the dark and being safe, or being in the light and being privy to the reality of the world, where it is now living in the darkness and being doomed, versus having light and having a chance to escape. The scene once again transitions to a completely new shot, without needing to do anything. The beast shuts the doors, the scene fades to black, and as they do, suddenly the shot is now following Tem, who is across the room. This is such a beautiful shot. It's done so well. Now that they're back in darkness, the starry sky returns, with the only other colour visible being the red of his blood. And while Tem is now back in the starry blue world, his bloody side is now on show, showing that even in this world, he isn't safe anymore. He wants to have hope. He wants to believe. He's asking the beast if this is something they really want to do. He still wants to believe that he can return to the safe world he once knew. But as it shows his bloody side, he knows he can't. Even so, he wants to. He doesn't want to believe it's real, but he knows he must. While the camera does shake, it never actually moves from its spot. But Tem slowly stumbles backwards to make himself become smaller and smaller in the scene and show the bloody side of his body. By having the camera shake, it connects the watcher with the idea of how Tem is feeling. Or maybe it's just supposed to mimic the idea that we're viewing the world through the beast's eyes, slowly approaching its prey. Tem steps on the remote and the projector turns on with a blinding light. The camera turns back to Tem, who is shown as very small as the projector screen reads, "Mutual understanding between species." Which, yeah, very much on the nose. The light shines on Tem as he sees the light, and he knows how powerless he is, and how there is no hope left, nowhere left to run. The beast slowly approaches its prey. As they block out the light, the hope Tem could have had to escape fades too, and instead Tem becomes covered in the darkness of despair. So many great uses of light and darkness. Tem knows it's all over now. As the looming shadow of the beast approaches him, Tem knows his fate. All that is shown of the beast is their teeth. Sharp, aggressive, monstrous teeth. And as the beast lunges forward, we as the viewer become Tem, as the beast's jaws engulf the entire screen, and we're eaten alive. So, what does this tell us about the characters? Surprisingly, not really much actually. Sure, it tells us that there are carnivores who will eat others in this world. Literally. I mean, it also tells us that Tem never skips leg day, but I don't think that's what the animation team were going for, so maybe not so much. However, while talking about Tem, This scene tells us that he was a kind, friendly person who wanted to see the best in people. Even when people had done him wrong, he still wanted to believe in hope. He, until the final moment, believed in hope. He was a positive, friendly person. But even so, that's about it. But what about the larger worlds of Beastars? As the projector showed, the students are taught the mutual way to live with one another, be it carnivore or herbivore, meaning that in the Beastars universe, it was deemed necessary to teach them not to eat and kill each other, which implies this is a problem in the society that they have to reinforce against. Which is kind of real to the real world as well. Wow, that's a somber realization. Huh. However, outside of that, not much is told about the larger world of Beastars, which I think is fine. That was not the focus of this scene. And finally, I want to add another part to the series. I want to add part 6, which I'm going to call Little Things. Because the animation team does so many little things that just blink and you'll miss them, but they add so much to the world. I want to address the fact that there are different scuff marks on the walls as Tem runs past them, meaning the animation team animated different walls, so it wasn't just the same copy-paste wall, despite being on screen for less than half a second. There are also tiny scuff marks on the door as Tem runs in the classroom, because of course there would be. This is a school with creatures with claws. There are several students that probably accidentally scratch up the door. And then there's the way the beast looks like it's staring at Tem from the top of the stairs, but it is revealed they're actually facing away as they close the door. And we actually see the muscles of the beast move as they close the door. We see the arms come up, we see the muscle fibres move. And on top of that, we can see they're actually wearing the Cherryton Academy blazer. It's such a good use of the little things. They could have just had it as a blank outline of a creature, but instead they actually had a character model that was wearing the blazer that you could see in the shadow. And of course, I want to point out the transitional effect between the eye and the darkness. These are such good tricks. They're so simple and so clever and just, they're so beautiful. I love them so much. Anyway, with that all said and done, thank you for watching. This has been a bit of a long episode, I think. But this scene does so much. And there's so much to talk about, and it was so awesome. And even so, there is a lot more I want to talk about this scene. However, I can't do so without massive spoilers. So later on in the series, I'm coming back to this scene. There's more I want to talk about. Look forward to it. And if you have enjoyed this video, all I ask is a few things. One, if you did enjoy it, give it a like, as it helps the channel grow, helps me in the system, helps the channel be seen by people who might otherwise not have seen it. Two, if you believe your friends would like this content, share it with them. Send them the link. Show them my channel. I do a lot of Beastars content. 3, if you have enjoyed this content, hit subscribe if you're not already, because there's a lot more Beastars content coming out in the future. And 4, leave a comment. 1, tell me where you found this video. Where was it recommended? Was it on someone else's channel? Was it on the homepage? Was it in your subscription box? I am always curious to know where my audience is coming from. I can check the analytics, but that's just numbers. I want the individual. I want you to tell me exactly where you came from. Whose videos were these recommended on? Because if my videos are being recommended on their channels, chances are we have like-minded individuals here, and I want to watch their videos. And 2, what do you think this scene was actually about? Do you agree with my point or not? If you disagree, respectfully argue it. What do you think the meaning behind the scene was? With that all said, thanks for watching. If you want to see more of my content, you can head over to Overthinking Media Unscripted, where I do unscripted content. It's a lot more improv, and it's a lot more fun, it's a lot sillier. And if you want to see me play games, head over to Twitch, where every Wednesday I do a Let's Experience, where we see experiencing beautiful games. With that all said, I'm starting to lose my voice because I have to record this twice. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.